From its one showroom and 2 gas pumps in Frenchtown, New Jersey, Ditchman Ford has grown and grown into Flemington car and truck country, all under the direction of Steve Califer, a 1971 business administration major from Rider University, who learned his lessons well.
I worked for a wonderful man in Trenton, New Jersey, Lou Coleman, who taught me the values that he had for all of his time in the car business. Treat each customer one at a time, the very best way that you can. And if you do something wrong, just take care of it and the customer will come back. Treat each employee one employee at a time. And that's what we've done all these 29 years, and it's worked.
But Califer's success didn't come without struggle.
1991, I had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. I'm a cancer survivor. I had a tumor removed, and I had radiation treatment and chemotherapy treatment. And 14 years later, here I am.
Those 14 years have seen the automotive mogul expand his horizons, as he is now part owner of 3 Atlantic League baseball teams in Somerset, Newark, and Camden.
I always liked baseball. I was not a very good baseball player. I had a chicken arm. I was a catcher. When I used to throw to second base, I didn't know where it'd go.
But he knew how to build a team, as one of his first moves in Somerset was to hire former Cy Young Award winner Sparky Lyle as manager.
I was going to buy a truck, and I said, you know, can you give me a good deal on a truck? He says, yeah. So I went up and I ordered this truck. And I don't know, 6 weeks, whatever it took for it to come in, I went back up there and was signing the papers for the truck. And he said, how about you and your wife come in my office? I want to talk to you for a minute. And he offered me the manager's job at the Somerset Patriots. So I got a job and a truck. So I thought I don't think you can get any kind of deal like that anywhere else.
Since he came from that New York treadmill, and you being the owner, I mean, do you think he's ever even thought that Steve Califer's going to call me on the phone and say, you're hired, you're fired, you're hired again?
Sparky Lyle is the manager of the team. I'm the owner. I have a deal with Sparky. I won't tell him or question who he plays, who pitches, or why he did something. And I asked him not to question me on how I sell hot dogs and Coca-Cola.
In addition to owning minor league baseball teams, Califer has won recent acclaim as a movie producer, specializing in short documentaries. In fact, 3 of his works are quite special. In 1998, Moore depicted an inventor's struggle to find meaning in his colorless life. In 2000, Curtain Call focused on 8 residents of the Actors Fund home in Englewood, New Jersey. And last year, Sister Rose's Passion told the story of an 83-year-old Catholic nun who fights anti-Semitism within the church. All received Academy Award nominations. 2 were Oscar favorites, but the winner was someone else.
We don't make films to get Academy Award nominations. We make these films. They're 40-minute documentaries to tell a story. And without exception, it's been a New Jersey story about either heroic people or people that have been overlooked. And we get to find out who and what they are and why they're significant. So we're very proud of the films. They've all been on HBO. They've all gotten great reviews, and they're something that we're very proud of.
They're on the red carpet for just a few short minutes.
You did the whole red carpet thing?
Did the red carpet. As a matter of fact, 1 billion people saw me on the red carpet stepping on Hilary Swank's dress. As most people remember, she had a very dramatic back to her dress, and I was in the back. And when she stopped, I didn't, and I ended up on the train of her dress. But I was promptly removed.
It should be noted that Califer downplays the fact that he's philanthropic, donating to charities and hospitals. But I did ask him, what will be his legacy?
Baseball teams, car dealerships, all very important, movies important. But the real legacy that you have are that after you're not here any longer, your family, they're the people that are your history. They are not buildings, they are not teams. They are the strength of your life, and that's hopefully what my legacy will be.
Welcome back here to the Liacouras Center. 1 game down and 1 game to go as on tap. Second half of our doubleheader. Temple University Owls taking on the Nittany Lions of Penn State on the men's side. Hello again, everybody. I'm Mick Moninghoff, and thanks for joining us here in between games. And coming up here in game number 2, we get a chance to take a look at a living legend at work. Currently, John Chaney is in his 20th season as the head coach of the Temple Owls, and this past summer, he was inducted into the Basketball Hall of Fame in Springfield, Massachusetts. It all started back in 1972 at Chaney State College, and 10 years later, John Chaney was at Temple. Since then, he's become the winningest active Division I coach. He's made the NCAA tournament the last 12 years, advanced to 5 regional finals, and now Springfield. Still, I asked Coach Chaney for his definition of a Hall of Famer.
I don't know. It's a lot of guys that I know of. Lou Conaseca, Big House Gaines down in Winston-Salem, Al McGuire. Many of these guys, some did win national championships, some didn't. I think many of them who labored long with young people and championed a lot of causes for young people. I think that's one of the elements that's there. The other elements, I think, is by developing a program that becomes a mainstay in the country for so many years. There are many guys that have done that already, like a Lute Olson or Jerry Tarkanian, who's at Fresno now, but was at Las Vegas. Those are guys that even won national championships that might be in there. Or Larry Brown with the 76ers here. Those are all guys. Or Kathy Rush, Vivian Stringer. They're all people that will be named, and I think I'm almost positive at some time they will go into the Hall of Fame. So I think it's your untiring effort that more or less puts you in a position where somebody considers you.
But Coach will tell you it's all about the players.
We've always had great guys that come in, and they weren't always All-Americans. We've had maybe a couple like Mark Macon or Rick Brunson, Pepe Sanchez, Nate Blackwell, Jimmy McLaughlin, who was here, Terrence Stansberry, and I just could go on and on. Many of them were guards, but many of them became leaders for us and led us into postseason play, which I'm so extremely happy with.
And under John Chaney's guidance, 16 have gone on to play in the NBA.
He's taught me so much about life and just learning and just trying to understand, and not so much going out and trying to out-talk people, but sometimes listen to people sometimes when you don't even want to hear what they got to say. You can learn from that. So I mean, he's always someone that's taught me whatever you put into life is what you get out of it.
He made me believe that I can do something, you know what I mean? I think, a lot of coaches don't do that. They just want you to play the game, but he made me believe I can be successful. And, just through, talking to me, telling me I can do this, or just, calling me up, making me feel that I was loved.
And Chaney's first recruit was Nate Blackwell, who is now the Owls' #1 assistant. He says Chaney's style hasn't changed in 20 years.
He just has a great philosophy of the game, understanding of the game, and it transcends time. I don't think there's, the consistency that has been for the last 20 years proves that his theory and our style of play works.
But given the chance in his career, would John Chaney have done anything different?
No. That's one thing that I teach the kids: never, ever play the last play. Once that's over, that's over. You got to look ahead. You could be on the right track when you're doing things, but you can't be sitting on the track because another train's coming and it's going to run you over. So you have to be on the right track and moving ahead with your life. And I think that's what I try to teach the kids all the time.
It says here, I being poor have only my dreams. I have spread my dreams under your feet. Tread softly, because you just might tread on my dreams.
John Chaney, definitely a living legend, a member of the class of 2001 into the Basketball Hall of Fame in Springfield, Massachusetts. And we'll have a chance to watch Coach John Chaney on the sidelines this afternoon as his Temple Owls take on the Nittany Lions of Penn State here live at the Leocourse Center on CNN. We have a little bit of ways to go before we get to that basketball game. And coming up next, a chance to chat with Dave O'Brien, the athletic director of the Temple Owls. That's straight ahead as we continue with our in-between game coverage right here on CNN. So stay with us. Haddonfield, New Jersey is a quiet community just across the Delaware River from Philadelphia. But when it comes to track and field, no female athlete ever made more noise than this resident. So Erin Donahue makes a bold move on the backstretch, and she wins going away. Erin Donahue rewrote the record book when it came to winning championships. In high school, Erin won 21 titles, including 15 of 16 group championships and 9 Meet of Champions gold medals. Mike Bussarello, one of her high school coaches, knew Erin was something special long before she ever entered Haddonfield High.
She was in 5th grade, and there was a race in town, and we took the cross-country team over to run the race. It was a preseason meet, and she was with her dad, and she beat everybody on the team, and she was in 5th grade. I had always heard of her, and then when I saw that, I realized at that point that she's exceptional.
But running was not where Erin expected to make her mark.
Well, I never really considered track, my first sport really until probably about my sophomore or junior year in high school. It became more evident because I always thought of myself, in middle school and stuff, I played soccer and basketball, and up through my junior year in high school, I played basketball too, and really thought that would be my sport. And in the summer, I did the whole AAU thing and was traveling all around for that.
So who impressed the former Bulldog guard who was part of 2 Group 1 basketball title teams?
My favorite athletes to watch were always, like Allen Iverson and, Michael Jordan and stuff growing up. So I was never really looking at track athletes.
Not only was Erin an outstanding distance runner during her time at Haddonfield, she was also great at throwing the javelin.
She's a good runner. Whenever you drive through town, she's always running. And then when they said they wanted her to try to throw the javelin, I kind of laughed at first, not realizing. And I think her first time she threw 95 feet just out of nowhere. So very impressive.
A couple of girls who I'd played basketball with were throwing it, and I just picked it up, and I did pretty well in a couple little dual meets and stuff, and I just stuck with it, and it turned out to go pretty well. So,
a 4-time NCAA All-American, Donahue was part of the 2003 national champion distance medley relay team. That same season, she helped the Tar Heels to 3 titles at the Penn Relays, without the fanfare that, let's say, the men's basketball team received.
Nope, just wasn't quite the same. When they won their championship, I guess, 50 or 60,000 people were out in the street, but not so much for the women's distance medley teams. So.
You've been able to excel at the high school level and then take it that next step where, a lot of times people just kind of fade away.
Mm-hmm. Well, you definitely, it's not like high school because every single race you go to is going to be like your national championship race in high school. And you really have to be mentally ready to step up to that race-wise, and just training every day, you have to take it to another level. And, you're not going to have quite as much success, especially at first, and that's something that's tough to deal with, but that I've worked through over the course of 4 years. So.
And her contribution to the UNC track team is almost immeasurable.
Oh, she's meant the world to the program. She came in out of high school as one of the top high school runners, and has brought that attitude of it's win at all costs, and I'm going to do everything I possibly can, and that attitude is infectious. You don't find too many competitors like Erin Donahue, male, female, it doesn't matter. She's one of the great competitors of all time.
And her teammates know that no matter what Erin tries next, she will succeed.
Erin's one of the best runners I've ever run with my whole entire life, and I think she just possesses everything that a true champion is. She has heart and toughness, and she'll be awesome.
Where does it go from here?
Well, hopefully I'll be, hearing about getting a job or something in the next couple weeks. Then I plan to keep training, through the 2008 Olympic trials, and just keep on running, at least till then.
The story of struggle of African Americans in basketball is well documented in the exhibit, The Quest for Equality, which is on display at the National Liberty Museum in Philadelphia. But of those who endured and were enshrined in the Hall of Fame, who had the biggest impact? I found out from Philly Hoops legend, Sonny Hill.
Well, on this board here, I would say Mr. Douglas, Mr. Bob Douglas, because he was the founder and the coach of the Renaissance. The Renaissance are the first African-American or Negro team that was formed in 1920 prior to the Globetrotters. The Globetrotters were a black team, but they had Abe Saperstein as the owner and the coach, who happened to be a Jewish man. So I would say Bob Douglas, more so than anyone else on this board, has a profound impact and effect on how African Americans or Negroes of that era were able to elevate to where the game is today.
What was it like when Earl Lloyd finally made it into the league and actually saw game time in the NBA? What was the feeling you had?
Well, actually, we didn't really identify with the NBA at that point. The big team at that point was the Globetrotters. So when the black players were growing up, they only thought about playing for the Globetrotters. In fact, the NBA, as far as a dream of playing in the NBA for a lot of people, really wasn't until Wilt came along.
It seemed like the Celtics had the first African-American head coach, drafted the first black player. Here was a team that was maybe ahead of the curve a little bit.
Well, not the team. Red Auerbach. Red Auerbach, in terms of how history should portray him, he was a door opener.
As Dr. Martin Luther King led the battle for civil rights in the mid-60s, the struggles continued on the court. It was 16 years after the color line was broken in the NBA when Texas Western became the first team with 5 African-American starters to win an NCAA title.
There's a real link between what was going on civil rights-wise in the U.S. mid-60s as to what transpired in the game of basketball at that time?
I think that was all happening, and this was a great opportunity because you had national TV. Now, national TV then wasn't like national TV is now, because, you know, it's much larger. But it was national TV, and there was a pride factor, and there was an opportunity to say we're equal or better. Because in the case of beating Kentucky, Adolph Rupp, who was a segregationist, he had said that he would not play Negroid players. So it was known that Kentucky, which was the cream of basketball at that point, they wouldn't play any black players, and the fact that the black players were able to beat them, that was a big statement.
This is a must-see for basketball fans. The exhibit runs through February the 6th at the National Liberty Museum in Philadelphia. We are back here at LaSalle at halftime with the Richmond Spiders and the LaSalle Explorers tied at 30-all. Hi, everybody. I'm Mick Moninghoff, and thanks for joining me here at halftime on CN8. A very entertaining first half, but now the entertainment continues because it's time for our annual presentation of, yes, yours truly, Mick Moninghoff's Best Dressed Coach of the Year. And 2 things to remember. It's all in good fun, and yes, I am the only judge. Last year's winner, David Henderson of Delaware, took himself out of the running to concentrate on his team's move to a new conference. But that didn't stop fellow Colonial Athletic Association coach Bruiser Flint of Drexel from bursting onto the scene. But rumor has it that Bruiser went over the wardrobe salary cap. Dan Baker tells me you're wearing a $2,300 suit.
That's not true. The suit doesn't cost $2,300, but I think it's nice.
Sorry, Bruiser, we'll stay away from the controversy. So Gary Waters of Rutgers becomes a finalist.
You know, dressing for me has always been a hobby, even when I was young. So, you know, I look for things that are probably unique, and I pay attention to detail. So, you know, I may shop in Paris or I may shop in New York. So it doesn't matter. I pay a lot of attention to detail. So that's important to me.
And our other finalist is Temple's Hall of Fame coach, John Chaney.
There is no coach in this country that has on any finer clothes than me. I mean, when it comes to dress, everything that I have on is the best. I just look like a dog in it myself. But all my clothes are the most expensive clothes that money can buy. My ties are always Armani, Versace, or whatever. Great ties. Donna Karan's, they're always the great. My suits are the finest, but I just look bad in them. Other guys look better. I guess if you hung around a bunch of 18-year-old, 19-year-old kids, you'd look bad too.
So it's coming down to Gary Waters and John Chaney, and to help maybe break this deadlock is a former Best Dressed Coach of the Year, Jay Wright, playing expert analyst with us. Gary Waters, I mean, does he have the wardrobe to get it done?
I think Gary's going with his own unique look. You know, he's got that kind of Midwestern, academic, but conservative look. He can surprise you late in the game with that. It can get it done late in the game.
But yet it just may be too conservative for the East Coast. Now, John Chaney is a Hall of Famer. He says now he's got the good labels.
See, I think Coach Chaney has that unique look, like those movie stars that don't shave. They keep it a little gruff on purpose. He's got those nice clothes, but they look a little gruff because he gets them out of his pants, his shirt's out, and his ties all over the place. But I think it's got a special flair to it, and that Hall of Fame aura around him, it could pull it off.
Yes, it will be enough to get it done, as John Chaney is my Best Dressed Coach of the Year.
Yeah, it may be an upset, but Chaney's probably not going to the Final Four this year, and he's got to win something. Tell you what, we'll come back in just a moment. You think about that. We have the Regional Conference Report just around the corner. Stay with us on CNA.